Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is MOGIBETH. For those of y'all who are new here, I own a six-figure reselling business selling women's clothing on places like Poshmark and Mercari. I was actually going to make a video today about 5 mistakes that I've made on Poshmark, but the most glaring mistake on that list, something that I didn't do in the beginning as a reseller, and something that I see so many resellers, whether they're in the beginning of their journey or experienced resellers, failing to do, is checking comps. I know y'all hear me say checking comps a lot on this channel. When I check comps, I typically look up comps because after checking comps a little bit more thoroughly, when I was checking comps on Poshmark, always check comps. Always check comps. So naturally, whether in the YouTube comments or in my DMs, I get this question a lot. How do I check comps? So in this video, I'm really going to answer that question, and I'm really going to cover the basics of checking comps in thorough detail. However, there are other parts of checking comps that I go into more detail about in my Poshmark Reseller course, which is available on MOGIBETH.com, in terms of the different decision-making parameters and considerations. But what I'm going to cover here today is something that every single reseller should know and should be doing consistently while sourcing, because checking comps is your best risk mitigation tool as a reseller. So I'm going to sit here with you first and go through how to check comps, and then we'll go into the thrift store together and check some comps together while we're in the thrift store. So let's go. All right, so let's say you've come across something in the thrift store that you think might be worth reselling. It's a good brand, it's on trend, it's in excellent condition, and it's priced reasonably. Okay, so step number 1 is to find the style name. And with some brands like Madewell and J. Crew, finding the style name is super easy because they have a little style number on their materials tag, which you just have to Google that along with the brand name and it will usually pop up really easily. But with a lot of other brands, they don't include that. So what you'll have to do is take the brand name and then other keywords associated with the item that you found and search for the style name that way. So let's just take, this is the jumpsuit by the brand August that I found in my Thrift With Me in Austin video, which I'll link up on the screen in case you missed it. And I'm going to show you what I do on my screen just to find that style name. Okay, so I'm going to Google and I'm going to search for August, the brand name. And then this is a floral jumpsuit, so I'll just start there with floral. It also has a cutout and a front bow, so if I don't find it with floral jumpsuit, I would add keywords in order to find it that way. But let's just start here. I immediately go to images because that's the best way for me to find the exact style. Okay, so it looks like it's been sold on Poshmark before. I can see that on Google. I'm going to click on this and it says August Mila Palms jumpsuit. So I immediately know what the style is. It's the Mila Palms jumpsuit, which is what I'm going to use when checking comps. Okay, so step number 2 is to search for that style name within Poshmark. So I'm going to go into Poshmark to the search and search the August Mila Palms jumpsuit. I'm also going to take off my size, and this jumpsuit is a size 4 and it's red colorway. Okay, so what most people would do at this point is go into sold, right? And they would see what is this item selling for. But step number 3 is really to look at available comps. This is just as important as sold comps because what you're looking for here is saturation. How many items of this exact style, colorway, and size exist on Poshmark right now? And if the answer is a lot, then that means the item is probably too saturated, and that could indicate either 1, that there's not enough demand for the item, or 2, that you're gonna have to just price really competitively and you might end up in a pricing war because the price would be the only differentiating factor for the buyer at that point. So ideally, an item that is worth picking up is not going to have any exact comps available, or just 1 or 2 that you could either improve in terms of either the quality of your listing or price. In this example, there are 4 available comps. There are 2 in the same size in a US 4. One is listed for $49 and one is listed for $4. I'm gonna look at the one for $49 and see how many likes. There are 11 likes, so that's a good indication that there's a lot of interest in this item. So now that there are only a couple exact comps and they're priced fairly well, especially for what I got this jumpsuit for, I'm gonna go to step number 3, which is solds. So when you're looking at sold comps, the first thing you want to do is really weigh the available to sold comp ratio. If there's a lot of sold items but not a lot of available items, that's a really good thing because that indicates high demand for the item. But the next thing and the most important thing that we're going to look at is what is the average sales price of this item. So for this one, there have been 2 that sold, one for $40 and one for $85. So that's an average sales price of about $62, which is good. So what we'd want to do in that case is to quickly calculate your projected profit for this item. So say I spent $10 on this jumpsuit. I project that it's going to sell for $62. With the Poshmark fee, they're going to take 20%, so that would leave me with $50. And after cost of goods, my profit in this would be $40. And if you wanted to take it a step further, you could calculate profit margin. So for profit margin calculation, I take my total revenue minus my total expenses. So that equals $40 as we just talked about, and then divide it by the total revenue. And that would leave me with about a 65% profit margin. Now, again, since there's an item listed for $49, the likelihood of it selling for $60 is probably not super high. So that's something you want to take into account. And that's also why you want to check available comps. And so you might want to project, okay, I think potentially this would sell for $40 and do the calculation that way in this specific example. But when checking comps, what you really want to ask yourself and determine is there demand for this item? And if so, what is my projected profit and my projected profit margin? And am I going to make a decent enough profit on this item? And how you define whether profit or profit margin is decent for you really entirely depends on your business model, which is what we go into in much more detail in our course. But what I will tell you is that adages that get thrown around this community, like double your money, are really not good rules of thumb when sourcing, because what if you buy an item for $2? If you profit $2, is that still going to be worth all the time you took to source the item, list the item, steam the item, photograph the item, inventory the item? No, it's not a really good benchmark for making decisions. So I would recommend you put a lot of intention, a lot of thought behind the parameters for your sourcing decision-making process. All right, so those are the 4 main steps in checking comps. I hope this was helpful. Now we're actually going to go to the thrift store and check comps together. All right, y'all, we are at Goodwill. This is the first Goodwill I'm going to in Wichita in quite a while. We are about to head in and find some items to check comps on. If y'all want me to do a thrift with me in Wichita while I'm here, let me know in the comments down below, because that's an idea. And I haven't been thrifting here in a while. This is where I started my whole Poshmark journey in 2017. So let me know in the comments down below if you want to see that. I now reside in Portland, Oregon, but I am here in Wichita. So we're going to go in, check comps on a few things that we find that might be worth reselling, show you the whole process, and hopefully that will help understanding the decision-making process when sourcing and how I check comps. Okay, let's head inside. Started out in the dresses section of this thrift store, but I actually did not find anything in the dresses to check comps on. So I headed over to the new racks and the shoes, and I found these Vionic flats that I've actually sold this exact pair before. Vionic is a really good brand that I always check comps on. Not all styles are worth picking up, but a lot of them are, especially for the right price. So I also found these new tag North Face pants on a new rack, and a couple other things I found. This Eileen Fisher top that was $3.99. That was a size small that I thought was worth checking comps on. This one state, one shoulder top that was $3.99. And then this North Face Nude Tag again, that was $4.99. So all 4 of those items I wanted to go ahead and check comps on. Alright, so let's start with the first comp of these Vionic shoes. So there are 2 ways to do this. First is check in the shoe to see if the style name is there, and in the Vionic brand they do include the style name, which is great. But the other way I want to show you is using Google Lens. So this is just through the Google app itself, and you take a photo and it generates an image search, which you can oftentimes find the style name of items this way. It's a super helpful tool as a reseller. So I found out it's the Vionic Carol shoe, so I went on over to Poshmark and searched for that. And with shoe brands that are popular, sometimes I will actually search by the actual size of the shoe that I found. So this one was a size 10, so I wanted to see exactly how many size 10s of this particular shoe were available on Poshmark at the moment. And the cheapest one that was available was $35, so I went in and just checked the interest on those, and there were 11 likes, so that's a pretty good deal. So here I am checking the sold comps. I wanted to look and see what is the average selling price of these shoes, and really the selling price was kind of all over the place, ranging from $15 to $40. So I clicked on the $15 one because that's an unusually low comp, and realized it's because the insole is missing. So that tells me, okay, I can definitely expect to make more on mine because I don't have the insoles missing. But determining the average sales price, I kind of determined approximately $30. So I went into my calculator app, put 30 times 0.8 to make up for the Poshmark fee, minus $6.99 because that's the cost of goods for these shoes, and had a projected profit of $17. When I want to find the projected profit margin, I take $17, divide by 30, and it's 56% projected profit margin. Okay, now on to Eileen Fisher. What I like to do with brands like Eileen Fisher that are oftentimes really hard to find the style name for is if they have a unique fabric content composition, I will actually Google the exact fabric content along with the brand name. So in this instance, it's 74% Tencel, 26% recycled polyester. I actually even forgot the brand name here, and it still came up with the correct garment. So I later on added it and just kept looking for the style name and kept finding more keywords such as split collar, and then later on I found sand wash. So I just kept looking for that, was looking for the stock photo, and was looking for the style name. And oftentimes with brands like Eileen Fisher, it doesn't have a classic style name like a woman's name or a word. It's more of a descriptor. So for this, I used Eileen Fisher Tencel split collar top with that sand washed color. So I copied that and went over to Poshmark and searched for those keywords, got rid of the size, and there was only one available on Poshmark. And then I looked through the solds, and the solds looked really good. There were 40, 45, 38, and based on what I paid for this piece, I felt like the profit margin and the projected profit would be worth it. So I projected about a $35 sales price with times 0.8 for that Poshmark fee, minus $3.99, which is a really good cost of goods, a $24 projected profit, and that left me with about a 68% profit margin. So I decided to go ahead and pick that up. Okay, next up was this one state, one shoulder striped top that had a waist tie, and this is a brand that is sold at places like Revolve. It's sold at Nordstrom, and I've actually had pretty good luck with this brand with some pieces, so I decided to pick this up in look it up. So I just searched one state striped one shoulder top, which showed the style pretty quickly, and there's no specific style name such as like a woman's name or something. It's just called the one shoulder striped tie top, or waist tie top. So I added that, and then I copied the entire description and searched for that within Poshmark, and immediately 3 comps came up. This was a size extra small, and so I wanted to look exactly at the extra small available comps. There was one listed for $35, one for $45, which sounds pretty good. That alone makes me feel like this might be a good piece. But then I went over to Solds and realized what people are asking for it and what it's selling for are 2 different things. So we've got an $8 sale, an $18 sale, $10 sale, and therefore I decided it really was not worth picking up. The next was the North Face new with tag pants, and when it's new with tag, it oftentimes has the style name, but I oftentimes still want to look it up on Google just to see what the stock photos look like. And so one way that I do this is I'll use Google Lens and I'll look at the tag. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. It didn't work in this case. So I just went ahead and Google searched the name of the style that was listed on the tag. So these were the Meridian convertible pants. And so I wanted to see just kind of how recently these were sold in this exact style. And because I couldn't find really any good stock photos, it made me believe these were an older style that hadn't been in production for a while. So I still wanted to go ahead and look them up. Oh, I tried the style name here. Actually, this is the style number that was provided on the tag, and sometimes I'll try that as well just to see if that gives me better results. It did lead me to some Poshmark or reselling listings, but didn't necessarily give me stock photos. So I went over to Poshmark and I searched using the style name provided on the tag, the Meridian convertible pants, and I was looking to see what available comps look like. There was only one in a size small for $25, which is not very promising. So then I went over to Solds and saw that they were selling for as low as $9, $15, and sometimes for $25 to $30, $20, but this really didn't seem super promising, so I decided to go ahead and pass on these as well. All right, well, I hope that was helpful. Just to recap, there are several different ways to find style names. The first is by just searching in Google with different keywords. The second is if the item has a specific material content, you can search just the material content along with the brand name, and oftentimes that's really successful. Also, use Google Lens. That's also a really good tool to find style names as a reseller. And then lastly, oftentimes brands on their materials tags or within the shoes have the style name or a style number, which you can Google or look up as well. So I hope that was helpful. We found a couple of things that were worth picking up. Let me know in the description down below if there's any other tips when it comes to checking comps that I missed. But anyways, I will see y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Bye.